welcome back to Sable's Grimoire. Let's keep it moving. I'm hoping to finish Tix's route in 1 or 2 episodes. I think I'll only end up doing one ending, and then moving on to other characters. And then I'll come back and show all the different endings in one video, and that's the hope. If you're against that at all, let me know in the comments. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, beginning with the basics, quickly proves to be an unpopular choice with Tix. As someone who has not only dabbled in spell creation in the past, but also learned and used a few fairly potent spells, Tix feels that she's too good to be revisiting the basics. Motivation plummets, and all of the enthusiasm she showed towards spell creation is dampened by the boring mental research assignments I have her doing. For a while, it seems as though she might simply give up and return home after all. Where that can happen, we move on to the next stage of her training. What Tix has learned is put to practical use. She is told to wield magic outside of her specialities and instructed on their proper execution. I teach her about the variety of spells out there which she is yet to master. We practice the art of balancing aether usage and molding existing spells in an unorthodox way. We're yet to actually touch upon the creation of brand new spells, but with these foundations in place, the likelihood of Tix succeeding where she once failed grows stronger every day. Focus more on the freezing magic. You're letting the balance shift too far again. Yes, instructor. No, now you're letting the combustion spell run wild. Get those flames under control before you burn the academy to the ground. I understand. I shout commands at Tix as she struggles to maintain 2 spells of opposing types simultaneously. Tipped off by her combination of combustion and freezing magic, as well as her inability to shrink in tandem with her clothing, I realize that Tix lacks the technique required to maintain 2 spells independently. For most mages, this isn't a problem. There's really a need for anyone to do such a thing anyway. But for Tix, who wishes to combine spells of varying types, improving her control through repeated practice is paramount to her success. That is the theory behind today's practical lesson. I can't hold it any longer. I think this is my limit. Don't give up now. Keep going. You're doing great. No, I can't. I'm out. Without giving me a chance to encourage her further, Tix spells both end prematurely, and she vanishes into thin air. Or at least that's how it must have seemed to any onlookers. In reality, that was it. I'm done for this morning. I'm wiped, Sable. I'm gonna go back to our room and shower. Alright, I understand. Good work today. You earned a rest. When Tix is running low on energy, her body reverts back to its natural size. When she reaches that point, our lesson is officially over. At that stage, Tix grabs her clothes, flies back to our room, signaling the end of our time together. If our lessons on spell creation go as smoothly as the rest of them have been, Tix is going to be creating spells of her own in no time. She's talented, powerful, motivated. Her lack of stamina is less than ideal, but otherwise she's a natural at this. If I'm not careful, she might wind up surpassing me before the semester is over. Pleased by Tix's progress, I begin to take my leave. Still early in the morning, but unfortunately I can't afford to take my time now that our training is over. I need to prepare for class. Our timetable is strict, and it doesn't just mean for Tix. Even though I'm not the one undergoing training, our daily routine leaves me with little to time for myself. It's a rewarding venture, but I will admit it is exhausting. It also feels a bit odd to be teaching someone else, given that I'm at the academy as a student. At this point in time, I can only hope that our training pays off, and that Tix is able to return home one day with her head held high. I show up to my first class of the day without an ounce of energy to spare. Shouting commands and watching flames dance helped me to stay awake for a while, but now that the excitement has died down, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. I'm glad that Tix is improving, but man, these early mornings are going to be the death of me. Maybe I should insist that we only train in the evenings from now on. Mornings are convenient since there's nobody around, but nights are much easier. While I'm yawning and rubbing my eyes, one of my classmates walks over to my side. Oh, my dear sleeping beauty, struggling to stay awake once more, are we? Do you need a shoulder rub or a re-energizing hug? A kiss on the cheek, perhaps? Just that as a kiss from Prince Charming is just what you need in order to break free from your slumber. Lift my head off my desk to find Hal standing beside me, just a little bit too close for comfort. Good morning to you too, Hal. As for your offer, thank you, but I'll decline. Actually, can Hal even kiss anyone without a mouth? That seems kind of unfeasible. For that matter, how does she eat? And without a nose either, how does she breathe? I better not say anything. Asking Hal how she kissed someone despite not having a mouth would just be asking for trouble. Yes, my apologies. I was being too presumptuous. What need have you for my tracking when your body is already being ravaged day and night by your roommate? Even though you're right, I do wish you phrased that a little differently. We're studying and training, that's it. Oh, now, there's no need to be shy. You can be honest with me. A pixie and a human male sleeping in the same room, spending all their free time together. It's obvious what the two of you have been doing. I'm so envious. You always with her, always talking about her, spending every single night with her. What is this feeling? My beloved is being taken away, and yet I feel so enthralled. Is this what it is like to be cuckolded? Cuckold? No, to be... I have no idea what that means. Please calm down. Whatever, you're imagining you're wrong. Tix and I don't have that kind of relationship. You're telling me that you share a room with a pixie, yet you haven't impregnated her? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. Are you in... Of course not. At least not as far as I'm aware. What is the problem? Why are you holding back? I see no reason for you to... No, hold on a second. I think I understand now. You do? Yes, that must be it. You're waiting until the end of the semester so you can turn home with her, at which point you'll inseminate her entire village. Aw, Sable, you always think big, don't you? Truly, you never cease to amaze me. That should be my line. How do you even come up with stuff? I mean, really, is that strange for a pixie and a human to share a room and not mate with one another? Not if the human is female. Wait a minute. Let me stop you right there. Yes, Sable is a unisex name. No, I am not a female. Dix asked me to inseminate her. I refused. End of story. How boring. Yeah, well, my life isn't lived for your amusement. Oh, don't pout. There's nothing wrong with saving a valuable resource for those whom you deem worthy. That being said, it does regenerate, so it's not like you'll run out. Perhaps you ought to stop being so stingy, You're starting to make me feel uncomfortable. No, you needn't feel uncomfortable around me. In fact, you ought to be more open. Share everything with me. Every encounter, every sordid detail, every nook of your bedpost. Hal, please stop. Everyone is staring. Very well. If you want me to stop, then I shall take my leave for now. After all, the last thing I want is for you to feel stressed out and become unable to perform. I breathe a sigh of relief as Hal leaves my side and returns to her seat. Even if Tix has agreed to give the topic of breeding a rest, it seems that misunderstandings like this are still bound to occur. Breeding. Is that all that everyone thinks about? Yeah, I get it. It's imperative for pixies. It's a huge part of their culture, and their views around breeding are pretty liberal. But why is it that everyone else sees Tix, why did I say Pixie, Tix, yeah. Tix and I together concludes that we have that kind of relationship. Tix has agreed to give it a rest, so why can't they? Can a pixie not have friends? Are all of their relationships with others fated to revolve around one-night stands and emotionless, loveless flings? Shake my head and focus my gaze towards the front of the classroom. Forget it. It doesn't matter what they all think. Even if everyone else keeps on pushing Tix towards procreating, I'll remind her that the choice is ultimately hers. Whatever decision she makes in the end, I will support her. In spite of my tiring start to the day, my first two classes ultimately leave me feeling more alert and awake than when I first got up. I have nothing to show for my attendance other than a few extra sleep cycles to tide me over, but at least now I'm wide awake and ready to learn. Well, better late than never. And of course, the content at this stage is easily enough for me to catch up on anyway. I'll just work twice as hard during my next two classes to make up for what I've missed. Thinking that, I get up from my seat and walk over to the doorway. I've woken up just in time for our break between second and third period, so there's little reason for me to remain seated. I want to exit the classroom and think about doing something productive with my break. I realize that I haven't left the room unescorted. Finally awake, are you? It's about time. The day is half over already. Having followed me into the hallway, LaShaw comments from beside me. While she's still generally happy to keep it to herself, seems that LaShaw did indeed notice me dozing off beside her. For her to follow me out of the classroom like this, I guess I must have been disturbing her more than I realized. Sorry about that. I wasn't snoring or anything, was I? If you were, I would have woken you up myself. What's gotten into you lately? Is your training with the pixie girl truly that tiresome? I'm just not used to it yet, that's all. I'm adaptive, I'll adapt over time, assuming you don't flunk out first. It's admirable that you're willing to go so far for your roommate, but you should not keep putting yourself out like this. Let the teachers here do their job. That girl is not your responsibility. Tix is learning from them too, but you and I both know that their lessons at this point aren't exactly challenging. Tix is seriously motivated right now, and I'd hate to kill her enthusiasm by telling her to go at the same pace as our classmates. It is not your job to keep her motivated. If she cannot move forward on her own, then that is her problem, not yours. That's true, but it's not like I'm only doing this for her sake. I'm kind of enjoying instructing her, you know. It's tiring, but it's also a rewarding experience. And once we get to the actual spell creation, I'll finally have someone to practice and experiment with. So in a way, it's an investment in my own future. If that's how you see your time together, it's no wonder you're being taken advantage of. Still, if your goal is to have someone with whom to practice, then it's not like that pixie is your only option. Aw, she's pouting. You're pouting. Shaw, are you offering to? I'm just saying that trying to teach a fool is a waste of time. Your efforts would be better spent with someone on a level closer to your own. You're being too harsh, Shaw. Tix isn't a fool. In fact, her grades are better than mine, and so is her talent for magic. And why does she need your help if she is so capable? Why does she not take the initiative to advance on her own? She will. She just needs someone to guide her first. All Tix needed was direction. Now that she has it, she'll be fine. Even if she's been pointed in the right direction, that doesn't mean she'll succeed. Spell creation is the focus of your training, is it not? Are the spells she created so far any good? Well, I think back over some of the spells I had Tix map out for me. Old ideas dating back to the time long before she came to the academy, practical spells thought up in her village, as she tried to address real problems they were facing. And like the majority of the spells I've created, all of Tix's attempts were based on actual needs. She sees a problem, come up with a solution, and try to make that solution into a spell. Fortunately, without the breadth of knowledge required to back up her enthusiasm and make those spells into reality, she dreams big. You mean that her spells are unrealistic? Exactly. All of Tix's spells are too grandiose. They're on an unnecessarily large scale. They're all needlessly complicated. Combining opposing elements was just the start. Her work is whittled with misconceptions around how magic works and how much aether she can realistically control. Knowing her circumstances, it's clear that she was trying too hard in order to show off to her family. I figured as much. People ought to know your limits. Oh well, excuse me, little Miss Perfect. I almost forgot that elves are flawless and could do anything they set their minds to. You jest, yet you speak the truth. Whatever the girl is failing to do, I am certain that I would prevail. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you would succeed where she has failed. Even then, so what? This isn't a competition. Just because you might be better at it than her, that doesn't mean Tix should stop. She may not be good at what she's doing right now, but at least she's trying. Not that I would expect an elf to know what it's like to be the underdog. Sable, calm down. There's no need for you to get so defensive. I do not intend to antagonize you. I'm simply stating the truth. Knowing your limits is important, all the more so when doing something outside of your comfort zone. Need I remind you of what happened last time you pushed yourself too hard when you were using one of your original spells? The meaning behind LaShaw's words suddenly dawns on me. She isn't saying that Tix should give up. She is simply cautioning against encouraging Tix to pursue the unrealistic spells she has been dreaming up. In a way, her advice is similar to which I gave Tix in the past. Now I see why Tix reacted so poorly to my advice. I agree with LaShaw, yet I still flinched at her words. And I'm not even the target of her... whatever. For someone like Tix, who put herself in a vulnerable position and asked for help, it's clear to me why she reacted the way she did. You say that she dreams big and that she is more talented than you are, yet her ideas have all failed to materialize. That is a dangerous combination. A powerful being aiming high in a field to which they are not suited could easily spell disaster. If this pixie, someone stronger than you, without a history of successful creating new spells, were to attempt to spell like you did on your first day at the academy, I understand what you're saying. If Tix made the same mistake I did, the aftermath would be on a completely different level. Thought that Tix might make a mistake and hurt other people. That's crossed my mind. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I'm guiding her. I figured that if Tix is going to dabble in an unfamiliar field like this, then it's safer for her to do so under the supervision of someone else. But even if I'm guiding her, the fact remains that I can't be with her all the time, nor could I stop her if one of her spells did run amok. In spite of the precautions we're taking, danger still remains. I will say, I did not expect to have this conversation with LaShaw. I know you don't want to hear this, but sometimes it is best to know when to give up. While it may seem disheartening for a mage to limit themselves, there is often a good reason why they have chosen to do so. I dare say this is one of those cases. So, I think she's asking me to one of two things. One is to completely ask Tix to stop, or two is to make her understand stuff more realistically instead of going for these spells that no one could possibly control. Even if I don't think that Tix should tone things down, getting her to do so might not be that simple. She's really motivated right now. I don't see her giving up easily. It sounds like you've gotten yourself into quite a precarious situation. If you leave her alone, she might make a similar mistake to the one you did. If you stay by her side, you'll run yourself ragged. Whatever you choose to do, bear in mind that you are ultimately not responsible for her education. Oh, see, I agree with what LaShaw is saying. I don't know. We'll just have to see what options pop up, and I'll think about it then. Once she returns home, she will likely discard what you've taught her anyway. Ooh. Oh yeah? Are you saying that she'll end up just becoming a breeder? Because she said she did want kids. I don't know. As much as I'd like to think that what I'm teaching Tix will stay with her, I am aware that things might not turn out that way. Tix is already strong enough to be a warrior, and she does not fight, and would thus not use what she learns in combat. Okay. If she becomes a breeder, she'll have no use for any of this knowledge. All that Tix will need is what her mother already taught her. Unless she breaks the mold of her predecessors have set for her, Tix will likely give up on this pursuit of hers the moment she returns home, and will resign herself to the life of a normal pixie. That is a depressing thought. I'd hate for all this time and effort to go to waste. Even so, I'm not going to give up on just because she might not wind up putting what I've taught her to good use. As long as she wants to learn, I will continue to teach her. So be it. Just be mindful that you don't get carried away. After all, hers isn't the only education you should be worried about. Which is also true. You have to worry about yourself also. Another class comes to an end, meaning that lunchtime is now upon us at last. Unlike the other students in my class, however, I am not overjoyed by this lengthy break. Rather, in my case, lunchtime can no longer be considered a break at all. For Tix and I, lunch has been transformed into yet another training session. Lunchtime already, huh? Man, I can't believe the day is halfway over already. Where does the time go? Troubled by my earlier conversation with LaShaw, I walked straight past the cafeteria head down to the courtyard with heavy feet. Without even eating first, Tix and I have been heading down to the courtyard to practice or into the library to study every day during lunch break. I didn't think much of this imposition at first, but now that Lisha has made me question our arrangement, I can't help but think of it as being unhealthy. Training morning, noon, and night sounds like a show of commitment. Anyone who heard about our arrangement would probably think that our devotion is a good thing, but in reality, maybe it isn't. I've been struggling to keep my eyes open during class. All my free time has gone towards either training Tix or coming up with lesson plans for her. I've been skipping meals, sleeping less, and focusing solely on her training. Without realizing it, I've slipped back into old habits. I've allowed my obsession to manifest once more. I came to the academy in order to break free of that lifestyle. Now I've unwittingly started heading down the very path I was trying to escape. While ruminating over my predicament, I approached Tix, who was waiting in the usual spot. About time you got here. Are we starting or not? You know we don't have much time before the other students finish eating and start crowding around. Tix, having recovered her strength during class, is now human-sized once again. Like always, she seems to be pumped up and ready to go. Unfortunately, her instructor does not feel the same way. Say, Tix, I've been thinking about something. What is it? Oh, did you come up with a new exercise for me today? No, it's nothing like that. What I've been thinking about is your future. My future? You mean like what kinds of spells I want to create? Kind of, but not necessarily. Tix, let me ask you a question. What do you see yourself doing with all of this knowledge? What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to create new spells and show off back home like I told you. Show off how? You said you wanted to become a warrior, yet you opposed to the hunt, and I've never seen or heard of you fighting anyone or anything before. Will you actually put what you learned to practical use? Will you become both a warrior and a breeder like you said? Sable, let me stop you right there. You seem to be misunderstanding something pretty fundamental here. Yes, I hate the hunt, but that does not mean I'm not prepared to fight. Pixies don't pick fights like those hunters do. We fight in order to protect ourselves. The spells I learn here will help me to defend myself and to safeguard all of the other people in my village. That's a fair point. Will they really help you, though? You've already learned enough to fight better than other pixies. You don't need to create your own spells on top of that. So what? Just because I don't need them, that doesn't mean I don't have a use for them. Besides, combat isn't the only thing magic is good for, you know? Even if I don't use my own spells in combat, I can still find a use for them. I agree with everything you're saying, I really do, but is that okay? If protecting yourself and others is a priority for you, wouldn't you be better off learning magic that's more practical in nature? It may sound strange for me, of all people, to be saying this, but creating your own spells isn't all that helpful. The spells you learn inside of a classroom or from your fellow pixies are proven, reliable, and overall useful spells. With requirements as basic as yours, it would be more efficient for you to practice those kinds of spells, rather than trying to make your own. Look, I know I'm not going to make anything groundbreaking, okay? You don't need to temper my expectations like this. Making practical spells is my goal, but I'd still be perfectly fine with making useless spells above all else. The point is that I'll be able to make them. Isn't that why you started making spells, Sable? I thought your reasons were similar to mine. I scratched my head as I let out a sigh of resignation. When Tix makes an argument like that, how am I supposed to turn her down? We may not see eye to eye when it comes to other matters, but as far as our mutual interest in spell creation is concerned, Tix and I apparently have more in common than I ever would have guessed. Alright, I'm satisfied. Enough talking. Let's get started. Finally, I'm ready whenever you are, instructor. Without further ado, Tix and I get started on our midday training. I leave behind any lingering concerns I have about our arrangement and decide to focus solely on the task at hand. If this arrangement proves to be too detrimental for either one of us, we'll do something else. We'll discuss possible solutions and come to an agreement about how to proceed. Until then, we'll continue as we have been and accomplish as much as we can in the time we have together. Once my final class of the day has come to an end, I visit the cafeteria briefly before making my way back to my bedroom. Even after skipping lunch and eating only a light breakfast, I still can't force myself to eat a proper meal. Yeah, this isn't healthy, Sable. In spite of my earlier optimism regarding Trick's training, the one aspect of my routine is definitely something I'll need to address. The Shah was right. I really do need to stop spending so much time worrying about Tix's education. As happy as I am to help Tix, I know that I can't afford to keep living like this. You can only go without food and sleep for so long before it catches up with you. The problem is clear, but a perfect solution eludes me. The ideas swirling around inside of my head all involve letting Tix down, varying only in the degree to which she would be disappointed. The easiest solution would probably be to shift things around a bit. Maybe Tix could study by herself in the morning and at lunch, and then we practice together at night. See, that's not a bad idea. She might not be happy about the restricted timetable, but as LaShaw said, I can afford to keep putting her wants ahead of my needs. I'll have to talk to Tix about this before we start tonight's training, and unlike during lunch, this time around I won't be swayed by her enthusiasm. I reach my room and authenticate myself. Authenticate myself, then place my hand on the doorknob and begin to enter the room. The moment the door cracks open, however, a loud voice gives me a reason to pause. I told you I'm not ready yet. That's not what you said a few weeks ago when you were begging me to let you come home. Things were different then. I was just being impulsive. I've made up my mind now, alright? Oh, have you now? And how long will it be before you have yet another change of heart? I stand at the door unmoving, as I think about whether I ought to enter or not. It's clear that Tix is having a private conversation with someone. As her roommate, the polite thing to do would be for me to give her some time and return later. On the other hand, it's not as though my presence is unexpected. Tix should have known that I'd be here at around this time. Perhaps she's even waiting for me to intervene. In either case, waiting out in the hallway isn't an option. I should enter the room and intrude politely or give Tix her privacy. Screw it. If Tix wants me to leave, she can tell me that herself. Sorry to intrude, dear roommate, but I push open the door and enter without further hesitation. The moment I do, what awaits me conflict. Tix's mother, you told me you would just return for long enough to grab your belongings quickly, seduce someone, and then come home. Okay, so it's weird that it's showing it from her point of view. Kinda. I don't know. Figured it'd be her on the screen, but yelling at each other. Their color difference is interesting to me. I wonder how that works for like the color of their wings. Ooh, wrong button. Okay. What happened? Your seduction failed, did it? Of course not. There's no way that any of the men here could resist me. And what's the delay? You aren't still entertaining some ridiculous notion of becoming a warrior, are you? It's not ridiculous. I'm strong, Mom. You know I am. Laying down on the bed is Tix. Ooh. As the physical terminal we borrowed popped up in front of her. Slayed on the terminal is Tix's mother. She seems to be keeping her composure better than Tix's, but even then, she's clearly unhappy. Oh, for goodness sake. Honey, I sent you to that academy so that you could learn more about magic just like you wanted, and perhaps find a mate at the same time. But if what you reported to me about the academy is true, then I take it all back. Don't waste your time attending an academy with hopeless teachers and a pitiable selection of breeding partners. Transfer somewhere else, attend a human school, and go wild. I don't want to. I'm enjoying myself here. You weren't the last time we spoke. Hell, you didn't even want to go to the academy in the first place. I just hadn't given this academy a chance. I wanted to stay at home, so I was anxious about being here. The teachers here aren't that bad, okay? I wasn't applying myself, that's all. You really can't make up your mind, can you? First you don't want to go, then you don't want to return. You begged me to let you come back, and when I give you the okay, you change your mind again. How many times are we going to go through this? My patience isn't without limits, you know. I know I've been a little indecisive until now, but that's all in the past. I made up my mind now. I won't be so wishy-washy in the future. I wish I could believe that, honey. I really do. But even if I could, I'd still be worried about this recent phase of yours. Phase? What phase? What are you talking about? I'm referring to your desire to learn offensive spells. Honestly, why are you so intent on improving your combat capabilities all of a sudden? I was happy for you to learn more about that purpose. We have enough warriors already. You don't need to learn anything more to that effect. It's not like I'm suddenly interested in fighting, Mom. Combat magics is just one of the things I'm learning. I can do all kinds of things that I couldn't do before. I left. You'll be totally amazed when you see what I'm capable of now. Then come home and show me. Return home so I can see with my own eyes exactly what you've spent your time away learning. Oh, God. So, I want to let her go. Because I think if I let her go, that'll lead to an ending already. And then in the same video, I can come back and we can play a little bit longer. But I'm going to let her go. And this is my reasoning for it. Is because it's affecting... Because I like to pretend that I am Sable when I play games like this. You know, I'm not saying everything he's saying, but I like to pretend. It's at the point to where it's affecting his life in a bad way. And so I'm going to let her go. Also, it's not my decision to have her stay. So, yeah. I'm going to save it. One of the many saves I have. I have too many saves. Just random spots, but whatever. Okay, let her go. Fine then, I'll come home and show you that I haven't been wasting my time. Good. I look forward to seeing what you're capable of. Tix's mother disappears from sight as the other end of the call disconnects. Tix punches the pillow a few times, then turns off the terminal and flies towards her belongings. Just before she can pull something out of her backpack, Tix suddenly turns around in surprise. Sable, how long have you been standing there? Oh, sorry, I just returned a minute ago. I didn't mean to eavesdrop or anything. Eavesdrop, then you heard what my mother and I were talking about? Some of it. Sounds like she doesn't approve of your, intellectual pursuits. Yeah, you can say that again. Mom was okay with me coming here in order to learn more about magic, but she doesn't like the idea of me learning magic geared towards combat. She also is not thrilled about the fact that I've been saying bad things about this place, where I kept asking her if I can come back home. Now she wants me to make up my mind and either come home or transfer to a different academy. I might be missing something here, but isn't that a good thing? If you've been asking her to let you go home, now she's telling you to do just that. Shouldn't you be happy about it? Just because I felt that way at first, that doesn't mean I still want to return early. I've been learning a lot since we started practicing together, and I'm not going to give that up without a fight. And what are you going to do? Will you go home and show your mother what you've been learning just like you said? Yep, that's the plan. I'll prefer to show her through the terminal, but if I don't speak with her face to face, she'll never gonna let this go through her thick skull. Oh, but don't worry, I'll be back soon enough. When she sees that what I can do, even she will have to change her heart. And when I return, you and I will pick up right where we left off. Alright then, I guess I'll wait here for you to return. Give her hell, Tix. When you're done, you know where to find me. Will do. I'll try not to keep you waiting for too long, instructor. But first, I'd say we're overdue for this evening's training. I'll head out first thing in the morning, so let's fit in as much as we can tonight, okay? Alright then. An extra horse training session coming right up. Okay, that was a weird skip. Just like before, Tix disappears from Academy without fanfare or notice. She does not inform her teacher, classmates, or the principal. She does not go through any kind of formal process to request or at least give notice. Tix simply vanishes once again, leaving everyone to wonder where she has gone and why. Everyone, that is, except for me. This time around I've been forewarned. Tix tells me where and when and why she's going. She neglects to mention how long she will likely be absent, but otherwise I have all the information I need in order to be at ease. That being the case, I do not fret I do not lay awake at night wondering what will happen to her or if she'll ever come back. Tix has assured me that she will return after talking to her mother, and for me, that is good enough. For the first week, I believe that Tix will return soon. She was absent for 1 week last time. After all, it makes sense that she would take that long this time around as well. But then 1 week turns into 2, and my optimism quickly wanes. Tix's mother must be harder to convince than Tix led me to believe. Tix is still going to come back, I tell myself. But first she must overcome one particularly big hurdle. Weeks turn into months, and with the passage of time my faith gradually runs dry. Tix isn't coming back, not to the academy and not to me. We won't be having any more training sessions together. I'll never again be woken up after the sun has risen or jump out of my skin as a tiny naked body flies towards my face. Tix is gone for good, and I'm never going to see her again. There's only one question is, why has she failed to keep her promise? Did Tix's mother convince her to stay? Did an incident occur while Tix was visiting her home? Was she restrained against her will? Many possibilities swirl around inside of my head, but whatever the reason may be, does not change the reality of the situation. Tix is gone for good this time. Whatever path she walks down, be it that of a breeder or a warrior, something of her own creation, she has ultimately moved on with her life. And I can hear water running, so I'm hoping that my laptop isn't picking it up. I guess we'll just have to find out. Now is the time for me to do the same. Ending 15 of 19. Okay, so there's 19 endings. Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording here, and then I'm gonna pick it back up to where that decision we made is. Okay, back to this spot, and we're gonna stop Tix from leaving. Hold on a minute. Interject before Tix can give her answer. In response, Tix's mother takes her eyes off her daughter as she finally notices my presence. Oh, what's this, honey? You didn't tell me you invited a boy over. I'm her roommate. Her roommate. Oh, I see. Mom, Sable has nothing to do with this. I'll come home and convince you that I'm serious this time, okay? Tix's mother smirks as her eyes shift back and forth between Tix and I. So that's it. You don't want to rush things because you committed a cardinal sin. What? What are you talking about? Rather than answer her daughter's query, Tix's mother addresses me directly instead. My patience is wearing thin, but I am not without tact. Knock my daughter up, and then let her down easy. It would never work out between the two of you anyway. Damn. That's fucked up. Don't ignore me, Mom. What are you? Before Tix can demand an answer from her mother, the call disconnects. Tix has been left hanging. Her mother has willfully misunderstood our relationship. Oh, geez, that stupid, single-minded, arrogant. What is her problem? Why can't she just let me do what I want to do? So I changed my mind one time. No, maybe it was more like 2 or 3 times. Whatever, even if it was 100 times, that still wouldn't give her the right to boss me around like this. Tix? Oh, Ivy's daughter just had 12 kids. Why can't you be more like her? Like I care, you pushy old fairy. Hey now, let's not go overboard. She's not that bad, is she? Of course she is. That woman is just impossible to please. No matter what I do, it's always the same. Why aren't you pregnant? Why am I going to get some more grandchildren? Make sure you have the litter at home. I'll have kids when I'm damn well ready, idiot. I stop replying to Tix for a moment as she continues to fume. It's clear that she isn't ready to talk this out. Right now, Tix just wants to vent. I can't blame Tix for feeling frustrated. One minute her mother is trying to impose her will on Tix and make her give up on her plans. The next she disconnects without warning, leaving the matter unresolved. There's bad blood between these two, and I'm sure this isn't the last I'll hear about it. After giving Tex a minute to calm down, I speak up once again. Have you finished venting? For now. Good, in that case I have a question. When are you going to stop studying and start having children? Huh? Why are you asking me something like that, Sable? You sound just like my mom. I'm not telling you to do so. I'm asking you about your plans for the future. Is it your intention to study for 2 years, then have kids? Or is there some goal you want to achieve first? It's not like any of my plans are set in stone, it's just when I return home, I'll have to give up on studying magic and focus on raising my kids. So before I reach that point of no return, I want to make as much progress studying magic as I can. Couldn't you keep practicing even then? It's not like the academy is the only place where you can find decent study materials. As long as you learn Terminal before you leave, you should be able to study to your heart's content. Do you want me to leave? I didn't say that, I'm just trying to be realistic. If you do return earlier than expected, I'm not returning. I'll leave when I'm damn well ready. Until then, I'm going to study my brains out. It's good that you made up your mind, but ignoring me, Tix turns to the physical terminal back on. Muttering curses to herself, Tix navigates to the textbook we've been working through and picks up where she left off. Unsure of what to do with myself, I let out a sigh as I sit down at my desk. It's good that Tix is motivated, but is this really okay? I feel like I'm persuading Tix to defy her family, causing tension to build up between them. Tix's mother seems to be satisfied with her little misunderstanding for the time being. How long will that last? For now, I'll just keep helping Tix with her studies and try to keep my nose out of her personal affairs. This is ultimately Tix's business, not mine. Until she asks for my help, I'll try not to meddle any more than necessary. Thanks to an unexpected call from Tix's mother, I once again missed my chance to reduce our training to a more reasonable level. Instead, our routine continues undisturbed. Early mornings, doctored lunch break, lengthy evening study sessions. My day-to-day life remains as draining as ever. Or at least that's how it was supposed to be until this morning. How long has it been since I last ate breakfast at a sane hour? I'm actually awake for once, and there are students apart from Draken here. Is this what normal breakfast is like? I don't know where Tix scurried off to this morning, but I'm certainly not complaining. Rather than awaken to the sound of Tix's voice or feeling her tiny hands pinching my face, I begin my morning in my own good time instead. After confirming that Tix was nowhere to be found, I shrugged my shoulders and headed for the cafeteria. Well, everybody needs a day off once in a while, no matter how motivated she is. Even Tix needs to rest occasionally. Still yet to lay eyes on my demeaning roommate, I turn up to my first class of the day with my head held high. Not only am I wide awake, I'm also filled with energy and ready to learn. It may not sound like anything to gloat about, but I haven't felt this way for many weeks now, so it's a nice feeling to show up to class in high spirits again. I was starting to forget what it was like to show up to class with the intention of participating in the lesson. Practicing in the morning and at lunch tires me out more than it should, probably because I keep missing meals as well. I seriously do need to talk to Tix about adjusting our schedule. Reaffirming my resolve at the ninth time, I tell myself that I'll face her properly this time for sure. No matter how excelled and motivated she is, no matter how angry she is at her mother, I'll have this conversation with Tix. That being said, where is she this morning? She hasn't been in her room, the courtyard, or the cafeteria. Where could she be? She didn't go to speak to her mother in person after all, did she? Figuring that the answer won't come to me that easily, I decide to focus on classwork instead. Our first lesson of the day is yet to start, so there's nothing that I need to do right now. Considering how slack I've been lately, however, I figure that some quick revision before class starts might do me some good. Oh, what do we have here? It's still early in the morning, yet you're already awake. Could it be that I'm the one who's late this morning? It isn't noon already, is it? Aha, very funny, Lasha. She actually cracked a joke. I missed this morning's training, that's all. It's amazing what a proper night's sleep and a decent breakfast can do for you. You took my advice about toning things down. A wise decision. It's only been one day and you're already looking healthier for it. Yeah, you can say that again. Rather than correct her, I opt to not tell Lasha that I haven't actually informed Tix of my decision yet. I'll do so soon enough anyway. There's no reason for me to say anything right now. Did your roommate take it well? I know that you were worried about dampening her enthusiasm. Actually, about that. Yes, what's wrong? Did she react poorly? Honestly, I'm not sure. Tix vanished from our dorm room this morning. I have no idea what kind of mood she's in right now. She disappeared after he refused to participate in her usual morning training. How childish. Lashaw sighs and shakes her head. In that case, perhaps she's off sulking somewhere. Pixies are known for being rather emotional, impulsive bunch. They often act without thinking and are prone to wild mood swings. You're telling me? Yeah, I guess that's possible. But if that isn't the case, where could she be? Tix has been talking to her mother a bit lately, and those two aren't exactly on good terms. They haven't spoken for the last 2 or 3 days as far as I'm aware, but even so, I can't help but think that her mother might have something to do with this. Well, pixies do tend to have strong bonds with their family members. Once the children have reached adulthood, that is. If your roommate is fighting with their mother, then I'm sure both sides are trying to make up in their own way. God. I try not to chuckle at Lashaw's comment. I'm not sure about that. Whenever those two talk, all they seem to do is argue. That doesn't mean they aren't trying to make amends. For some pairs, arguing with one another is how they reach an understanding. Like you and your father? Lashaw shrugs. What can I say? That man often needs to have some sense beaten into him. Still, you do well to keep in mind that arguments are not inherently good or bad, Sable. Any form of communication can ultimately lead to positive results. Well, yeah, I guess it's better than the two of them not speaking at all. Even so, I can't bring myself to feel good about Tick's constant arguments and disappearances. If you're that worried, you could always try asking my father. I'm sure he could be convinced to hand over the terminal ID of your roommate's mother so you could speak with her yourself. He might even let slip the location of their village in case you wish to speak with her in person. You really think he'd give me that information? Even In wouldn't hand over private information about students and their families that easily, would he? No, probably not. Students and their families are entitled to their privacy after all. Still, it's worth a shot. If nothing else, my father might have some insight into their relationship. He may be a buffoon of a man, but I cannot deny the breadth of his knowledge. Breadth. The breadth of his knowledge. Talk to the principal, huh? Alright, why not? We still got time before class starts. Thanks, Lashaw. I think I'll be taking your advice once again. Understand, just be careful not to let my father talk your ear off. Some of the things he says are insightful, but most of the time he is simply full of hot air. Thanks for the warning. I'll keep that in mind. Heeding Lashaw's advice, I leave the room before class can start and make my way towards the principal's office. The hallways are both empty and quiet. With the classes soon to start, most of the students are sitting in their classrooms, rather than loitering in the hallways. That silence does not last long, however. In fact, the closer I draw to the principal's office, the louder my surroundings seem to become. By the time I reach this doorway, I realize that the noise is coming from within the principal's office. Someone is in there shouting up a storm. Whether their target is N or someone else, I feel sorry for anyone present. Unfortunately for me, I will soon be one of those poor souls. I don't care about that. I told you if you can't find a mate, you're coming home. I'm not going anywhere, Mom. You can't make me. Please, both of you, if you could just lower your voices for a moment. I can so make you. Who do you think sent you here in the first place? In case you haven't realized, it's thanks to me that you're allowed to be here. All I have to do is snap my fingers and your admission would be revoked. No, see, it really doesn't work like that. Go ahead and try. I'm an adult, Mom. Maybe not back home, but here I am. And as an adult, I don't need your permission. I can stay here for as long as I want. 6 years is usually the maximum. But otherwise, you're correct. Adult now, are you, huh? I bet you haven't even lost your virginity yet. So what if I haven't? That's only a requirement back in our village. It doesn't matter here. I don't think I need to hear this. Don't try to wash your hands of this matter, Elf. You bear some responsibility here, too. As I recall, you were the one who assured me that there will be plenty of virile young man here who would be happy to make a woman out of my daughter. I didn't know such thing. I simply confirmed that this is a oh my, I'm not even gonna try and say that academy, and that it is not uncommon for students to come here in search of a mate. Don't play dumb now, Elf. You know exactly what I was asking. If you can't guarantee a mate for my daughter, then I want you to expel her this instant. No longer feeling brave enough to interrupt, I stand in the doorway silently and watch the drama unfold. I don't know what kind of argument the Shah was imagining earlier when she spoke of them being constructive, but something tells me that this one does not qualify. Feel sorry for him. There's no way I'm going in there right now. I'll just stay out here and wait until tensions have cooled off a little. Happy not to be involved, I stay right where I am as I continue to eavesdrop. Understand that you're not happy about this arrangement, but I am afraid I must side with your daughter. Legally speaking, Tix is an adult. As long as she doesn't want to leave, you cannot make her do so. If you want to expel her, then find her a mate. Hell, do it yourself if you have to. Just make sure that she fulfills her obligation to her people. I don't think that would be appropriate. While I am used to turning a blind eye to a student's pregnancy, for a teacher to be involved would be a bit. Oh crap. In's eyes light up the moment he catches me peeking in. If you would like to know more about your daughter's relationship with the male students at this academy, perhaps you ought to ask her roommate. Her roommate? Tix and her mother both follow In's gaze, leading them straight to me. This is... should have ran away while I had the chance. Knowing that I've already missed my last opportunity to fake ignorance and walk away, I sigh deeply and enter the battlefield myself. Sable, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in class? Let's just say that I'm a little too curious for my own good. The Shah would call me nosy. Ray would say that I just can't let things go however you spin it. I attract trouble. Well now, we meet in person at last, Mr. Roommate. My oh my, you do look like a vile young man. How is it that my daughter is yet to eat you up? That's her loss. Rest assured I will not make the same mistake. Ma'am? Tix's mother floats towards me. Paying no further mind to the other people in the room, she extends her hand towards me with a smirk on her face. Before she can lay a hand on me, however, Tix gets in her way. Mom, what do you think you're doing? Don't you dare start flirting with my roommate. Why not? It's not like you've claimed him. Isn't that what you told me a few nights ago? That you weren't sleeping with him and that you have no intent of birthing his children? That was... why a smile forms on my face as I finally make sense of the scene unfolding in front of my eyes. Tix, you eat it. Why'd you have to correct your mother's misunderstandings? You should have just let her think that we were together. Then we could have avoided all of this. While I don't know exactly what was said, I feel confident in my guess. During one of her heated discussions with her mother, Tix must have let slip the fact that we aren't really a couple at all. She probably even went as far as to yammer on about our training, or to gloat about how she's making too much progress in her studies to settle down and raise children right now. Hearing that she was mistaken, and perhaps even perceiving the exchange as if she lied to Tix's mother, decided to come to the academy in person in order to sort everything out once and for all. Well, is he yours or not? Because if he isn't, Tix's mother licks her lips as she looks me over once more. She runs her eyes up and down my body, apparently pleased by what she sees. I unconsciously turn away, hiding my body with my hands. How cute. I'm going to enjoy eating you up. You'll do no such thing. Why not? What business is it of yours? I'd never steal from one of my beloved daughters, but since you haven't laid claim to him. Observing the interactions between Tix and her mother, I'm not sure if she really does intend to do anything to me. In a way, it feels as though she is simply teasing her daughter or trying to make her say something. Then again... oh. So, I think I'm going to play it tough. I think it would be funny to ask In for help. Oh, I'm going to ask him for help. Why not? I think it'll be funnier than me just like standing there trying to play it tough. Not willing to risk it, I look at Ann, our principal, who has attempted to recede into the background. He may wish to become a bystander, but I won't let him. Principal, Would you please put a stop to this madness? You aren't able to let an outsider lay their hands on one of your students, are you? I guess you do have a point. I have a duty to protect my students after all, even from situations like this. Don't sigh while saying that. And what do you mean, even from situations like this? I'm in a real bind here. Ma'am, if you cannot keep your hands to yourself, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. After I came all this way here, you expect me to leave without at least sampling the goods you have on display? Sexual harassment. So much of what you say and do is sexual harassment. This academy is not your personal sperm bank. Abide by the rules or leave. Those are your two options. Taking one last look around the room, Tix's mother appears as though she wants to say something else. Ultimately, however, she swallows her words of discontent and turns towards the door. Fine, I will withdraw for now. But Tix, sweetie, do not think you've heard the end of this. I'll give you more time, like you were originally promised. You can even keep studying a while longer, if that is what you wish. Just keep in mind that my patience is not without its limits. I expect regular progress updates, and I'm not talking about your studies. Return home with a full wound by the end of semester, I'll take you home by force. Leaving behind those ominous words, Tix's mother finally departs. Once we are sure that she is out of earshot, the three of us breathe a collective sigh of relief. Boy, that was intense. It's a good thing you showed up when you did, Sable. Good for you, maybe. I'm pretty sure I just shaved 10 years off my life. Nonsense. A dose of reality every now and then is important for scholars. Besides, things started to get rather smoothly once you showed up. Wouldn't you agree, Tix? Tix? Unlike N, Tix doesn't seem pleased with how things ended. Her mother may be gone, but the words impart upon Tix have not been forgotten. Just so we're clear, I could have handled my mother by myself. This is my problem. It should be between me and my mother. You're saying that now. That's how you feel then. Why did you drag me into all of this? You didn't have to do this in my office, you know. Ignoring the compliments of our unreasonable principal complaints. Tix continues. Even though it's none of your business, I was happy that you came, Sable. I know I'm causing problems for you, but I'm thankful for your help. My pleasure, Tix. I'm always helpful to help out a friend in need. Within reason, of course. Given the kind of help Tix has asked for me in the past, I can't be too careful. What are you going to do now? And the semester is still a fair way off, but that doesn't mean you can just pretend that today didn't happen. Yeah, I know. I'll give it some thought on my own. Just let me worry about it, okay? Okay, let me know if you need my help. With a sully expression on her face, Tix leaves N's office. At last, interloper remaining, I begin to follow suit. Class has likely started already, but if I hurry... Hold on a minute, Sable. I want to talk to you. I'm not going to class this morning, am I? Sighing, I shut the door and turn to face N once more. What is it, sir? Is there something I can help you with? Not me, no, but as for her... Tell me, Sable, do you really want to help your roommate? Yeah, I guess. How badly do you want to help her? How badly? I don't know. Enough to inconvenience myself, but not enough to put myself in harm's way? That's a surprisingly honest answer. Let me rephrase the question. Do you want to help her badly enough that you'd lie for her, specifically to her mother? Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Actually, I thought this problem with Tix's mother was already sorted long before, with a little misunderstanding. Unfortunately, Tix couldn't keep the truth to herself, and so you got involved. That's a shame. Some people are honest to a fault, aren't they? I like to think of myself as an honest person, but in reality, I just don't want to invite unnecessary trouble. Keeping track of lies can be difficult in most situations. It's easier to just tell the truth. But if the truth means my friend will be harassed, and a lie will save her from that, I have no problem lying on her behalf. While those two were arguing, I got around to thinking, what if the two of you were simply to fake it? Fake what? Wait, you mean this drama is all because Tix is not pregnant, correct? So pretend that she is. Problem solved. How does that solve anything? Tix's mother told her to come home after becoming pregnant. If we pretend that she is, won't we just be speeding things along? Plus, those two converse regularly through terminals. She'd figure out that we're lying in no time. Not necessarily. All you have to do is make the argument that it's safer to give birth here at the academy. When it comes to breeding, the only thing pixies care about more than the number of the children born is how likely they are to survive. Do you think that would be enough? I mean, what if she wants to see the babies herself? She might even come back here to see them in person. I doubt that would happen. Pixies want to increase their numbers, but they aren't that emotionally attached to their babies, not initially at least. They form strong bonds when they're children once they reach a certain age, but when they're newborns, there is no love between them. That's rather harsh. It's a coping mechanism. They can't afford to cherish every single child when there's a good chance that half of them will die. My point is, pixies initially don't even care about their own children, let alone the children of others. If you tell Tix's mother that a big litter has been born and that they will be raised in perfect safety at the academy, I don't think she'll ask any more questions. You really think it would work out that well? I can't imagine a grandmother showing such disinterest towards her own flesh and blood. They're not human, Sable. They may look similar to your kind, but they are not the same. They do not feel the same emotions and treasure the same things that you do. What is unthinkable for you is common practice for them. If there is one thing I've learned as principal of this academy, it's that looking human is not the same as being human. Considering Ern's history with mankind, which dates back long before even my grandparents were born, I feel that there's a deeper meaning to his statement. I may be a human being, but Ern knows more about mankind than I do. He has an ample experience dealing with my kind and likely understands us better than even I. He is also an authority on demi-humans, and he accepts many different kinds of demi-humans into his academy every year. When it comes to the similarities and differences between humans and demi-humans, he is the most certainly an expert. Well, I guess I can at least think about it. I don't know if Tix will go for it, though, and considering how quickly she corrected her mother last misunderstanding, she might accidentally blurt out the truth this time around, too. I suppose I'll run it by Tix and see what she thinks. Thanks for the ideas, sir. For now, I'm heading to class. Alright, just keep in mind that their family quarrel might not be as simple as you think it is. It would be no exaggeration to say that for pixies, nothing is more important than reproduction. Oh, I know, believe me, I've become painfully aware of that. Compared to the tumultuous encounter I suffered through in the morning, the rest of my day proves to be uneventful. My classes are peaceful, lunchtime practice does not occur, Tix keeps her distance, and the entire day passes by without incident. Once my final class of the day comes to an end, however, my thoughts switch back to Tix's situation. In a matter of seconds, I'll be coming face to face with my troubled roommate. Before then, I need to think about what I'm going to say to her and whether I ought to share the principal's suggestion or not. I hope that Tix would be able to escape her mother's if she managed to become more powerful and skillful, but it seems like her mother doesn't care about that at all. When they were talking this morning, her mind was focused solely on breeding, like she'd lost patience with Tix and no longer expected anything to come from her time here. I'm sure I'm missing part of the story here, but whatever is really going on between those two, I'm starting to see why Tix has had such a hard time with her mother. Approached my dorm room without any of the answers I'd hoped to find along the way, realizing that I paused without reaching for my door, taking another moment to think the matter over. Maybe I should just stop thinking about it. I mean, this is ultimately Tix's decision to make after all. It's not up to me to change her mother's mind. Perhaps I gotta stop getting myself involved. It's a little bit late for me to put away completely, but I can at least try to avoid getting dragged in any further. Still yet to arrive at some perfect, convenient solution, which would make everyone happy. I hang my head and reach for the doorknob. In the end, any actions I take regarding her situation should be approved by Tix first. I need to talk this all out with her and see if we can think up an agreeable solution together. Hey Tix, are you here? Tix? Look around the room, searching for Tix. Since we started to make a habit of training every evening, she has been returning to our room before me quite consistently. Today, however, it seems I'm the first to arrive. Maybe she had to eat dinner first, or perhaps she stayed after class to revise a bit more. Nah, who am I kidding? She probably went straight down to the courtyard to start without me. I guess we'll be starting earlier than usual today. At least now I'll have more time to think about what to say to her. After quickly checking the cafeteria to make sure Tix isn't simply eating the dinner, I head out to the courtyard. Confirm my suspicion. Surely enough, I locate Tix the moment I set foot outside. Rather than get sight of her, however, I instead find her by using my ears. From across the courtyard, I can hear disgruntled shouting, similar to what I heard this morning. Oh man, Tix's mother didn't come back already, did she? I thought that she'd gone home, but if she's still here, then that means I rush towards the source of the noise and keep my eyes peeled for battling pixies. Thankfully, what enters my field of vision is not a fight. Instead, I spy Tix engaging in a far more destructive activity. Stupid old hag, ha, I'll show you. In spite of her words, Tix is not facing off against her mother. Instead, she continues to unleash a flurry of small, weak spells into the air above her, aiming directly upwards. Seeing that, we can understand what she's doing. So she's training after all, huh? I guess I was right the first time. I heard Tix shouting. I was worried that Tix and her mother might be killing one another. Thankfully, it looks like I was just jumping to conclusions. What Tix is utilizing right now is a training method taught not by me, but by our teachers. It is a way to practice casting spells without taking up a great deal of space, whether due to the risk of injury, since the spells are launched directly upwards. It isn't appropriate for all spells, of course, but for the spells which dissipate when they run out of momentum, it's rather convenient. She finally started taking the initiative to train on her own, huh? Whoop. This is good. Though considering what Tix has been shouting, she might just be blowing off steam. Cautiously, I approach my sweaty roommate. Good afternoon, Tix. Ah, Sable. How long are you going to react that way every time I approach you? Seriously, relax. I just got here. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I'm a little worried up right now. I kind of suspected as much. So, taking out your frustrations on this guy, I see. You saw that? I heard it more than anything. Oh man, you even heard what I was saying? How could I not? You were screaming at the top of your lungs. I bet the whole academy heard you. Dick's face turns a deeper shade of red as her shoulders begin to tremble. This is so embarrassing. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Everyone gets frustrated with their parents from time to time. Oh, shut up, like you'd know. What reason would a human even have to feel frustrated? The same reason as you, for starters? It's pretty common for human parents and their children to argue about the children's future. Really? I thought you guys were free to do whatever you want. We have a lot more freedom than pixies seem to, but that doesn't mean we can't just run wild. Everyone has expectations placed on them at times. It's not something unique to pixies. Whatever, it doesn't change the fact that this is my problem, not yours. Mom gave me more time, but well, you heard her. She made up her mind about what she wants me to do. Free until the end of semester. After that, who knows? Vic starts to calm down as her focus shifts from her mother's obstinance to her own impending decision. She may have been granted a temporary reprieve, but ultimately nothing has been resolved. Her mother's opinion remains unchanged, and Vic's future still seems just as limited as it was before. Unless we come up with a way to keep her mother at bay indefinitely, Tix may be forced to spend the rest of the semester thinking not about her studies, but about her intimate return back home. I realize that you're still trying, but is there anything in particular that you want to do? Something I want to do? Yeah. Then you decide whether it's possible or not. What kind of future do you wish for? Like, if I could do anything I wanted to, then what would I do? Exactly, just like that. Tix thinks over my question for a moment. After giving it some serious thought, she shakes her head. I don't know, Sable. The problem isn't what I want to do, it's whether I can do it without having my actions impact my family. Even if I was able to achieve my goal here, I'll be for nothing if my mothers and sisters don't congratulate me or welcome me back with open arms. I care that much about what they all think. I didn't get that impression at all from the way you two were screaming at each other. What can I say? I got my stubbornness from my mother. When we disagree on something, we get loud. No kidding. I witnessed that firsthand earlier today. We get the gist of what Tix is saying. I can't say that I understand what she's going through. Tix is obviously quite close to her mother. They fight, they curse at one another, they say mean things about one another, but even then, they still love each other, When the fight is over, they forgive one another and they move on. Ooh, thinking about that, I finally understand what the Shah was trying to tell me. Even an argument can't be constructive, huh? Can be constructive. I get it now. It took me a while, but I think I figured out what the Shah meant. Chick shares everything with her mother. She can't stand the thought of lying to her. They fight consistently, but not because they hate one another. If they did, they would just give up and stop contacting one another altogether. Rather, the reason why they keep fighting so desperately is that they want to reach an agreement. Tix's mother wants what she thinks is best for her daughter. Tix knows that she's trying to change her mother's mind. Having come to an understanding, Tix's relationship with her mother a little better, I realize that I'm unable to put myself in her shoes. Like Tix, I don't fight with my parents, but it's not because we always agree with one another or that we share the same outlook on life. If anything, I would say that it's because we aren't close enough to fight. Before I came to the academy, we barely spoke to one another. There were some days where we didn't even see each other, despite being only a room away. We don't argue because we don't communicate. We don't fight because we never see one another. Thinking about it like that, is my relationship with my family really any healthier than Tix? Realizing just how deeply Tix cares for her mother, I sigh in defeat. Unfortunately, that makes things rather difficult. You want to do your own thing, but not at the cost of your relationship with your mother. There's only one way I can see that working, is if you somehow manage to convince her after all. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I haven't had any luck so far, though. That woman is just impossible. Is she really that difficult to reason? Why? Your relationship should mean as much to her as it does to you, right? So shouldn't she be willing to bend just a little? Or could it be already doing so and Tix just hasn't realized it? I don't know about that. Mom is actually pretty lenient overall, but when it comes to breeding, she's super serious. What if you give her an ultimatum? Either she gives you 2 years, or that you were originally promised, or you swear off kids forever. Yeah? You want to give up on having children? Ever? It's called a bluff, Tix. Your mother wants you to have kids. If you tell her that you'll either have them in 2 years or you'll never have them, then her choice should be obvious. I can't do that. That'd be like threatening her. She keeps threatening you. That doesn't mean I'm going to do the same to her. Sable, thanks for trying to help, but I just don't think you can. You don't understand how we think, or what's important to us. Only we do. Please just let me think about this on my own for a while. This is my problem. I'll come up with a solution to it on my own. Oh, alright then. If that's what you want, it is. Please leave me to train on my own. I have something to think about. I have some thinking to do. At Tix's request, I leave without putting up a fight. I head back inside after casting one more glance behind me, only to find Tix picking up where she left off. Her anger has adapted, but her frustration is not. She still has plenty of steam to let out before calling it a day, and while she does that, I will be trying my best not to think about her situation any more than necessary. Given my track record, I expect to meet with little success. Leaving Tix to conduct her own training, I enter the cafeteria once more. This time around, however, I'm not looking for someone, rather, I've come for the most obvious reason why one would usually enter the cafeteria. But simply I'm hungry. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 meals in one day. When was the last time I managed to eat such a normal amount? Better make the most of this while I can. At this rate things have been going, I'll probably get dragged in some new pixie drama soon enough. I wade through the relative empty cafeteria and place my order. Rather than grab something ready-made, I decide to order a proper meal for once. I guess all that's left now is for me to pick a seat and wait for... Before I can finish the thought, I spy the enthusiastic waving of one of my good friends. And with a smile on my face, I make my way over to her side. Oh, I thought it was going to be the other person. Yo, Sable, I saved you a seat. Come sit with your best buddy. Don't mind if I do. Despite the fact that the rest of the table, and indeed almost every other seat in the cafeteria is empty, Draken insists that I sit right beside her. With no reason to refuse, I do just that. I didn't see you at breakfast today. Did you sleep in? I did, actually. My roommate didn't wake me up for once. Lazy fairies. Can't trust them with even a simple task, huh? If she starts slacking off too much, I could start swinging by your room on my way down. No, that's okay. I think a break from routine every now and then is a good thing. There's no need to worry. If you say so. Ooh. I breathe a sigh of relief. Getting woken up early by ticks is bad enough. If I start waking up as early as Draken does every morning, I'm going to wind up sleeping through every class. So you aren't training today. I didn't see you out in the courtyard this morning or during lunch, and you'd usually be out there right now, wouldn't you? You know about all that? I told Draken that I was training with ticks, but I didn't give her any specific times or details. Of course, watching you two train in the courtyard has become part of my routine. I ate a big meal, climbed to the roof of the academy, then perched myself on the edge and watched over you two. I didn't know that. I never noticed at all. I don't know whether to feel embarrassed about being seen or to brag about having a guardian dragon watching over me. Guardian dragon. I like the sound of that. Maybe I should start watching over you more often. No, there's no need to go that far. I have my hands full with just dealing with ticks right now. Last thing I need is for Draken to call ticks a fairy and unintentionally wind her up. Have you been making any progress with this fairy's training? Yeah, I would say so. Hasn't been easy or straightforward, but we're getting there. Also, I'm not used to teaching, so it's good to have such a motivated student. Why haven't you been training today? I didn't see you after breakfast or after lunch, and now you're here with me instead of out there with the shouting girl. Are you taking the day off? Yeah, something like that. Tick's and her mother are in the middle of a disagreement, so she's a bit preoccupied at the moment. That's no good. Fights with Mama never ended well. Should I take that remark to mean that you fight with your mother on occasion, Draken? Draken shakes her head. Even when I try, Mama's too much for me to handle. You can't fight her. The outcome has always been declared before you even begin. She's too much even for you? Wow, your mother sounds formidable. Not that I'd expect any less from a full-blooded dragon. You should meet Mama one day. I'm sure you two would hit it off. Me, hit it off with a dragon. Why not? You and I have, haven't we? I think that's due to your personality, not mine. Right from the moment we first met, I've considered Draken's cheerful, friendly personality to be the reason why we were able to quickly become good friends. I've somehow become closer to a couple of less affordable students as well, such as LaShaw and Tix. But the difference in time and effort expended has not been lost on me. Then again, what if it's less about Draken being friendly and more about how willing she is to show how she truly feels? Tix often insulting me, for instance, but I've never sensed legitimate malice from her. She has a sharp tongue, but she isn't hate-filled. Now that I've gotten to know her better, it seems to me that she's just afraid to show any signs of vulnerability in front of others, and she lashes out in order to hide her feelings. Thinking about it like that, perhaps the difference between those two lies more in how they express their feelings of friendship rather than the degree to which they feel such things. After briefly pausing to ponder the difference between how certain students at the academy have acted around me, I return to reality. Hitting it off with a dragon, huh? I'm okay with that principle, but I don't think it would actually work out that well. Honestly, I'm finding it hard enough to get along with pixies at the moment, let alone dragons. Pixies, plural? Like, more than just your roommate? Yeah, I kinda got roped into my roommate's family drama. By roped in, I mean I couldn't mind my own business. The short version is that Tix's mother wants to get her pregnant and go home, but Tix herself wants to stay here and learn magic. Oh yeah, those little guys breed like crazy, don't they? Well, what's that got to do with you? Well, nothing, I guess. I just couldn't bear to see Tix being denied by her mother like that. And am I being too nosy? Yeah, probably. Did you get anywhere with her mother? No, she wouldn't budge at all. I just can't believe that she'd be so indifferent towards her own daughter's education. Well, it's not like they teach anything else useful here. We're only in the first term of our first year. I wouldn't expect a half-dragon to find it all that interesting right now. Still, it's not about how useful it is. Tix wants to learn. She wants to expand her knowledge and broaden her horizon. I think that she should be allowed to pursue the future, and she wants to rather than be bound by her own mother's will. Oh, you make it sound so simple. I can't even imagine going against Mama's wishes. Well, yeah, okay, I can see why you wouldn't be able to oppose your mother. She's a full-blooded dragon. No insane person would want to stand against her. But Tix's mother is just another pixie. She's not practically imposing or powerful. It's not just about being powerful, Sable. Even if I was stronger than Mama, I still wouldn't be able to go against her, not without a really good reason. Don't you feel that way when it comes to your parents? No, not really. That ship sailed a long time ago. I think that people should be able to take control of their own lives without needing to worry about the expectations of others. If my parents disapprove of something I want to do, then I'll listen to their concerns, but ultimately, it's my life and I'll do what I want. It's not how it works for you. Wow, even though you're a puny human, you're actually pretty tough, huh? Am I? I don't think that I am. It may sound strange for me to say this about myself, but I don't see my ability to disregard the wills of others as strength. In a way, I'm actually envious of people like Tix and Draken, who care about their parents so much that they can't go against them. My way of life may grant me freedom, but it does come at a cost, one which many people are unwilling to pay. If I had the opportunity to go back in time and strengthen my bonds with my family, rather than pour all my energy into studying magic obsessively, would I? After taking a moment to consider my life's decision until this point, I sigh and shake my head. No, of course I wouldn't. Who am I trying to fool here? I know myself better than that. Even if I relived my youth many times over and still wind up right back here, living exactly the same life that I am now. Coming to that conclusion, a worried smile forms on my face as I avert my gaze. Still, I don't like the idea of forging bonds so strong that they take precedence over everything else. If I were a better person, someone who prioritized others over my own personal development, then maybe I wouldn't have such a hard time sympathizing with my friends. After eating an early dinner together with Draken, I return to my dorm room and breathe a heavy sigh. I think I'm gonna end the episode. I just don't know how close I am to the end. I don't want to start recording the next episode and then just end it 2 seconds in. So I think I'm going to go for at least another 10 minutes. I'm just going to go until we hit an end. Lately, my return has signaled the start of my evening training with Tix. I've entered the room quickly, showered, and then been whisked away. Tonight, however, there will be no such training. I have the room to myself, and I can do whatever I want. Only problem is, after having my routine adjusted to such a degree for so long, all I can think about is our practice. This is no good. I need to sit down and study. Come on, Sable. It's something fun to research. Pick a topic, any topic, and just roll with it. I glance around the room, as if to search for inspiration. Nothing stands out as my research topics go, but there's an object which grabs my attention. A portable terminal, huh? Come to think of it, I should probably check if it's okay for us to still have that. We've been borrowing it for a while now. I'm sure there are other students who need it. Thinking that, I take a step forward, the terminal, and reach out my hand. The moment I get to pick up the device, a small light begins to flash in the corner of the screen. That's odd. If I recall correctly, a flashing light means a notification. Unlike the spell terminal, which allows for information to be transmitted directly to the caster's mind, physical terminals are ultimately electric devices. They are designed to look and act like the real deal, and they do have some functions which are similar to those of real terminals, so some people mistakenly believe them to be magical in some way. In reality, however, physical terminals are just computers. Using a mage is present and actively projecting onto it. A physical terminal has no magical properties whatsoever. How could a notification come through? The device shouldn't be able to receive normal terminal messages all on its own. I guess Tix must not have ended the spell she was using when she last interacted with it, and she is now projecting onto it subconsciously. If that's the case, she's closer to being able to use the real deal than she realizes. No, wait, has it actually received a real terminal message? This isn't an electronic device owned by the Academy. It just could be a just plain old electrical message sent over to the Academy network. Yeah, it must be. Probably one of the blah 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 telling me, sorry Tix, I guess you'll be studying in the library from now on. Turn on the screen in order to confirm the contents of the received message. To my surprise, no message pops up. Instead, the text loading sprawls across the screen. Going by the other information being displayed on the terminal, it seems that a call has been initiated. Whoops. It was an incoming call, huh? I guess Tix must have changed the settings on this thing so that it would automatically accept incoming calls. Really now, don't go changing the settings on something that doesn't belong to you. The staff here don't have time to reset every device after every single... Wait a minute, someone's calling Tix, then this must mean... Before I can finish that thought, a familiar face appears on the screen in front of me. Tix, honey, I know you're mad at me, but I just need a... Human? Name's Sable. I'm Tix's roommate, remember? Yes, I remember you. Why are you answering my daughter's terminal? Where is she? Tix is practicing. I'm pretty sure she doesn't want to talk to you right now. Also, this isn't her terminal. It belongs to the academy. Anyone is free to use it. I see. So she's still using a physical terminal to contact me. And here I thought that the oh-so-valuable education she has been given at the academy would have at least covered that much by now. What a waste. Should have kept her at home and taught her to her myself. My face cramps as I realize the blunder I've just made. Crap. So she didn't know that Tix was still using one of these. Sorry again, Tix. I thought I may have just made things worse. If there's a message you want me to pass along, I'd be happy to do so. I'm not sure when Tix will finish. It might still be a couple of hours yet. There's no need for that. I'll try her again later. I was just going to ask for directions back home from the academy anyway. You ask her for directions after fighting like that? What does that have to do with anything? We don't stop helping one another after over a few little toughs here and there. Huh? It's nice that she's prepared to ask her daughter for help, even after a conversation like that. But is it really normal? Unsure of how to interpret Tix's relationship with her mother, I don't pry into her reasoning any further. In that case, I'll leave it to you. I'll let Tix know that you called. Goodbye. Hold on a moment. Yes? Before I can tap on the end call button on the screen, the pixie on the other end of the line stops me dead in my tracks. While I have your ear, there's something I'd like to speak to you about privately. Privately with me? Wait a minute. This isn't going to be more breeding talk, is it? Of course not. If that were the case, why would I want this conversation to be held privately? No, what I want to talk to you about is the role you played in my daughter's recent defiance. Oh, okay then. Go ahead, miss. I'm sorry, what was your name again? I don't think I caught it earlier. You don't catch it because I didn't introduce myself. I don't plan on talking to you again after this, so there's no need to give you my name. Why are you being so difficult? It's just a name. Whatever, go ahead. Say what you wanted to say. Sighing, I keep my complaints to myself and vent internally. She won't give me her name. She won't call me by my name. What's with this woman? Is this some pixie custom I don't know about? Oh well, if it starts to bother me, I can always ask Tix anyway. Actually, now that I think about it, Tix's last name, in fact, do even pixies have last names? No, at least some demi-humans do. Eth has one, Ray has one, and so does Eris and Jojo. But what about everyone else? Do they not have a last name? Or am I just not an attentive friend? Quickly going through the motions of my blah blah blah, whoever actually name is continued. Let me be blunt. I blame you for my daughter's change of heart. If it weren't for you, she would have come home by now, and I wouldn't have needed to involve myself like this. To make up for that you've done, I expect you to do the right thing and have your way with my daughter. I don't care if it's while she's half asleep, feeling emotional and needy in heart, or if you have to put her under a spell, just knock her up as soon as possible. What? Whoa, hold on a minute. You can't ask me to do something like that. I just did. No way. You're telling me to take advantage of Tix while she's vulnerable? Yes, that's right. Is that a problem? Of course it is. What is this woman even saying? What's the big deal? I'm giving you permission to do it. It's not your call to make. I don't care how different our cultures are. You don't get to decide something like that for another person, even though she's my daughter. Especially since she's your daughter. Why are you making this so difficult? Fine then, if it's a problem, Tix. If the problem is Tix, well, then what if I have a little talk with her and she seeks you out herself? Softening my gaze a tad, I shake my head. Having you manipulate Tix into going along with your plan wouldn't make any of this okay. Besides, even if Tix wished for something like that herself, I still wouldn't do it. As I've told Tix before, I have no intention of becoming an absent father or even a father at all at this stage of my life. What is wrong with you? You're asking me that? That should be my question to you. Who the hell tries to convince some boy they can't even remember the name of to impregnate their own daughter? No, I'm serious. This is something fundamentally wrong with the way you think. You are being given the opportunity to procreate with any repercussion. You being told to spread your seed like any living creature should ultimately strive to. How can you refuse? Do you not feel compelled to share your biology with future generations and to ensure that your bloodline lives on? Look, it's not like I don't get your point. Breeding is essential to our survival. If we don't do it, we'll all die. That fact is the same for humans as it is for pixies. We have to understand that the act of finding a partner and choosing to bring a new life into the world isn't as simple for humans as it is for pixies. We need structure and communication. We need to be able to support our children financially and to provide for them. No, you know what? Even before entering that side of the debate, there's a more basic problem here. I realize that pixies have a rather liable view when it comes to sex, but for humans, there's more to it than just procreation. There has to be a mutual attraction, love, intimacy, and oh, just stop already, would you? Please spare me your dribble. I've heard this speech before. You want to hide behind some pointless moral argument? Fine, go ahead. But I've met humans like you before, and they never managed to keep it back long. Human men are all the same. You proudly talk about your strengths or your beliefs, but the second you are aroused, you become wild animals. For all of your posturing, I'm certain that you too will succumb to your instincts when the time is right. Pausing for a moment, Tick's mother sighs and shakes her head. Forget it. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince you anymore. It's obvious that either you don't understand or cannot accept our nature. So let me skip over any moralizing and get straight to the point. We pixies can afford to become attracted to our partners. We must breed with the strongest, healthiest, most convenient partners we can find. Appearance are meaningless, intellect is the same. As long as the men can produce good offspring, we are suitable to the role. You understand what I'm saying? I guess so. Good. Then allow me to elaborate on what I said earlier. Pixies do not fall in love the same way humans do. The love we feel towards a male is simply our way of realizing we want them to father our children. Tix is no different. She may have been led astray during her time away from home, but she's still a pixie. She will do what her instincts tell her to do, be it for love, lust, procreation, or out of mere boredom. She will definitely make a move on the human closest to her, in other words, you. And once you knock her up, she will lose all interest in you, she will come to her senses and return home without delay. You see, there is no point in projecting your human notions of love onto us. Your morality does not apply to my kind, nor does it have any meaning to us. As such, you might as well just have your way with Tix and get it over with. It'll be less painful for both of you that way. While there are a few points of interest in what Tix's mother has just told me, her conclusion is not lost on me. Tix is a slave to her biology. She will sleep with whoever is convenient for her, even if she doesn't care about them at all, and then leave them forever. Pixies cannot have relationships. The morals and beliefs prevalent in human society do not apply to them. Ooh. It is pointless to fight back. The result has already been determined. So that's how it is. I knew pixies were hardwired to prioritize survival above all else, but I didn't realize it ran that deep. Well, now you know. So knowing what you do when you finally stop delaying the inevitable and impregnate my daughter. A wary smile forms on my face in response to her pretense. She just doesn't give up, does she? That doesn't bode well for me. Even if I refuse outright, that won't simply be the end of this topic. If I'm gonna take any meaningful steps forward, I need to get this woman to talk a little more openly. Concluding that a direct answer will not lead anywhere productive, I decide to probe for more information instead. Before that, I have a question. I get that you want Tix to cave and do what her body is telling her, but why are you so hell-bent on forcing Tix to go back home as soon as possible? You gave her permission to be here, right? Don't you think it's unfair to let her come here only to then tell her she's allowed to stay after all? Why the rush? Why does she need to be impregnated now rather than in 2 years? Really don't understand my intentions at all. Just like Tix, you're ignoring half of what I'm saying and only listening to the parts you want to hear. Human, if you think my desire for my grandchildren is the only reason why I'm pushing her, then you are just as thick-headed as my daughter. If there's another reason you're not telling us, then come out and say it. mind readers, you know. I already have. You're just too fixated to listen. Fixated on what? What are you? Hey. Before I can demand an answer from her, the willful pixie ends our call. I consider calling her back, but after giving it a few seconds of thought, I decide not to. Forget it, even if I call her back, it'll just be more of the same. She won't tell me her name, she won't explain her motives, she shows up at her convenience, hangs up at her convenience, makes unreasonable demands. I can see why Tix gets so frustrated with her mother. I turn off the terminal, place it down on Tix's desk. I look at my own desk, thinking about what to do with myself. I quickly realize that I won't be able to study in here. With Tix set to return at some point in the near future and her terminal labeled to accept another call, I decided to take my studies elsewhere. This is where I'm going to save and quit. I was hoping we'd get somewhere. But yeah, see you guys in the next episode. Subscribe if you like my playthrough and want to keep following along.